Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television. I'm Manir Dan Ali. My guest today is the Executive Governor of Plateau State, His Excellency Simon Bako Lalong. Welcome to 30 Minutes.
Thank you very much.
Maybe we should start from the national perspective. Your party has just completed the primaries.
Yes.
What is being awaited now is who could be the running mate of your flag bearer, that is Chief Bola Tinubu.
Yes.
Who is it that governors are recommending? I know you've been in all sorts of meetings, even with the president.
Yes.
Which direction are you likely to go?
Well, let me thank God for the successful convention that we had. We knew that it was not going to be easy because right in the last 2 years or last 1 year, when we were all preparing, you saw that we were almost at war with the southern
colleagues.
Our southern colleagues. I'm sure the fact that they didn't understand well what we were working towards at the northern governors level. You remember that we had a meeting in Kaduna, and in that meeting we woke up, and then there was another meeting in the south where they said this thing must. And I addressed the president and I said, no, don't use the word must.
That is in your position as
chairman of Northern Governors
Forum.
I told them, no, don't use the word must. This is politics. Politics is about lobbying. You negotiate, you lobby, and you give somebody hope that what he is voting, at the end of the day, is a comfort zone, that you will get some people to protect his interests. Don't say must. And at that time, we started meeting at the Northern Governors Forum. I must say the epic and I think the final position was taken during this convention without any fear of favor. Because that has been our position, that we look at the objectives, we look at it objectively, that this country belongs to all of us.
And also you are trying to ensure that you put your best foot forward. That is, you put up a candidate that could give a good fight to the opposition and you manage to possibly retain
exactly
power.
That's why I will say that always the emphasis has always been that at least to governors, they will always tell you that we will want either a former governor or a governor. They won't deny that fact at the governors, but at the Nigerian Governors Forum. Everybody will say, we want people who are tested. And that test will be that you are a governor or you are a former governor.
And because of the history, because Adwa was governor.
The history is there.
Yes.
Obasanjo picked a governor, he became a president. Yaradua, the same thing. Goodluck was a governor. From deputy governor, became a governor, became a president of this country. And so the concept, the work has been that you look for a governor or a former governor.
How did you convince yourselves,
yes,
including you, that maybe a governor shouldn't be the candidate? Maybe we should look for a former governor like Bola Tinubu.
No, first of all, what we did was that we all agreed. You remember that even before we went to the president, we had already our agreement that we were going to look at the possibility of voting either a governor or a former governor. It was clear that we were going to vote a governor or a former governor. And we were looking within us to say, let us project some of the governors. Let us also project some of the past governors. At the end of the day, and we mix it together. The position of the governor was 5 governors. Among these 5 governors, we believe that we will screen them and we said all of them are qualified to rule this country. So one of them must emerge as the presidential candidate. And from the list we sent to Mr. President, you can see that 3 of them came in succession. His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu was number 1. Rotimi Amechi was number 2, and then the vice president. All were the list that we gave Mr. President.
But the main issue now, the
yes,
main issue is running mate.
Yes.
And some are saying you are also in contention.
Well, I have been a governor because from the criteria that is laid down, I've been a governor. And then people will now begin to ask, have you been a successful governor? Do you have experience in governance? Do you have the qualification? What is the qualification of becoming head of state or president of Nigeria? It's a school cert. It's a school cert. I was a practicing lawyer when I went to the House of Assembly. I presided over equals for 6 years in my House of Assembly. I presided over equals for 6 or almost 7 years. As a speaker, it's not easy. That's the most difficult aspect, to preside over equals for that long period.
So, and does this, you feel, are you convinced that this qualifies you to get the running mate ticket from
Not
Mr.
only that, not only that, I said I became a governor. This is my second year as a governor in Plateau State.
Second term.
Not only that. In my, I will say it was like a dream when my colleague, our senior, Kashim left as chairman of Northern Governors Forum. I also went there to vote whoever was going to be there as the only Christian in that meeting, because 2 of them did not even appear. And when I got there, I didn't know that there was a kind of arrangement that I was going to be. I wanted to nominate a governor, and then they said, no, I will not nominate in the night. I said, let me nominate now. They said, no.
So that was how you became the chair of
the
no, Northern...
You cannot nominate because you are the one that were nominated as the chairman of Northern Governors Forum.
So from that vantage position,
yes,
what do you personally believe should happen? Should it be a Muslim-Christian ticket, or should it be Muslim-Muslim, as some are saying that your first concern, that the APC's concern, is winning?
Yes. Well, first of all, I am not even, if I'm aspiring to be the vice president, I've told you, I am not aspiring because it is my faith. I'm aspiring because I am qualified. First, that is it. Because when you are measuring that kind of thing, first you aspire, look at people who are qualified to go in. When we pick them, we pick 5 we didn't talk about religion, yes, because we said they should move in. But then in politics, there's always a tradition. And when people start to believe in that kind of tradition, the moment you deny them that tradition, it means that you are already excluding them from public politics. I take that from where I came from, Plateau. I realized that some of this crisis, everything that was happening, was because of exclusion. People believed that they were excluded. No matter, in politics, you talk about the majority having their say, having their way, while the minority must give them opportunity to have a say. Once you have that, you have completely peace in your place. What are we talking about today? We are talking about peaceful federation. We are talking about a progressive federation in crisis. Already we are in crisis. How to manage the crisis. It's not only winning the election, you are also going to win the election and thinking of governing the nation. So when you start thinking about that, you must look at every interest and give them that sense of belonging. Why did we move that? It will go to the south, it will go to the south. If we had left it on the basis of majority, I know from politics, would have produced a president from the north. But that will not bring the peace. That will not bring that sense of belonging. And so I was very happy that when we sat down, we agreed in the north. And they say, you spearhead it. And we moved to the president and we told Mr. President, for now, with what is happening in this nation, let us carry everybody along. Let's allow them.
So now again, I'm taking you back to the issue of running mate.
Yes.
Have you, as governor, sat down and said this is the way to go, or you have not done so?
Well, at this stage, just like Mr. President did the last time, I think our last meeting to him, he said, I gave you people opportunity to discuss and give me. And we said we are not given that opportunity. Nobody informed us. He was shocked. He said I discussed with the party and the party said no. We were not told anything. Because all of us were just sitting. Then we heard that you had an interest in somebody. And he came out and said, no, I didn't have any interest.
So the party was not communicating?
No, there was no communication. It was very obvious at that stage that there was no communication. We only saw some of our colleagues buying forms here and there, and there was no communication directing us to suggest what was good. So instantly, Mr. President directed that it's not too late. this night you can go and sit down. I know your capacity of the governors. You go and sit down and give us and give me, even if you agree on one person. So at the end of the day, although we didn't agree on one person, we agreed on 5. And we came back in the night and gave him the names of those 5. And those were the 5s, among the 5 that you saw, 1, 2, 3, the first 3, and plus 2, that let us step down. 2 of them stepped down. I'm sure if they were in the race, it would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exactly. And we told him this is going to be the voting pattern from each of the various states. So at this stage, nobody has invited us to say, yes, the tradition has always been that if it is thrown to the north will go and sit down and send out names. Well, I don't know, because sometimes when they see your name, you are an interested party, the meeting may be without you, without me. But I am sitting down like any other person and hoping, because this is politics. I've had my name here and there. I've had other names, and all the discussion is to the flag bearer, the candidate of the party, and I'm sure he's going to do that in conjunction with Mr. President.
I've seen you've gone to congratulate him.
Yes.
Did you whisper something to him while you were there?
No. We congratulated him, and we only told him, and we are congratulating him and also expressing our gratitude to him for giving us opportunity, for listening to us and saying, you go and do. So when we came, he was very happy with us. He said, for you, I wouldn't have known where to go, but you people gave a direction, and I had a free hand, and the flag bearer emerged. So I'm very happy. That's the only time I slept. So as we move into this one, we're also expecting that there will be that kind of cooperation, but he has not directed us to go and look for a running mate and give it to the candidate.
Do we move to your state,
yes,
Plateau? You did hint earlier that there is relative peace.
Yes.
After years of a lot of upheavals, a lot of bloodletting, and what have you.
Yes.
But do you still have experience of sporadic incidents that are happening? Why is that so?
Well, that is almost in every part of the country now. And there are different reasons for that. But you see even movements of people. You find in some crisis areas people run to your state, and while they are in your state, you can't guarantee even their characters. So you have such things happening. But I must say that from what I inherited compared to where we are in Plateau, everybody that gets into Plateau will tell you, yes, there is a relative peace. Because before I came in, it was not even comfortable if you wear this clothes, it's difficult for you to pass through Jos. You must change another cloth.
What did you do to achieve that?
Well, I had already had an experience as a speaker, because some of this crisis started when I was Speaker of the House. I saw what we went through, especially in my domain, I will say in my place, in Yalwashanam,
where there is a number of
where there was this kind of crisis.
In a
we
predominant,
were all living peacefully. Maybe politics also took us to that unfortunate situation. I lost a lot of my brothers who were Muslim. I lost a lot of my brothers who were Christians. It was really unfortunate. And I had a lot of IDPs in my house, both Christians and Muslims. I had to be feeding people. My relations who are Muslim, who had ran to Lafia, ran to different places. It was a very terrible moment for me. So nobody who has gone through this will want to continue that way. And what did we do? An NGO came to me and told me, this is the way forward. I embraced the advice from that NGO, excuse me, and we started making peace in Yalwa. Today, if you go in Plateau State, if there's one peaceful place that you have, is Yalwa. And because there is peace there, developments are also going. It's one place that in Plateau, even if my village says they are not going to vote for me, Yalwa will always vote for me. They will always vote for me. So using the experience in Yalwa, it's about inclusiveness, giving people sense of belonging, telling them that as you are here, you are also tolerated. So when I became governor, it was terrible. And I saw it in the past regime. Somebody talking about his tribe, somebody talking about religion, somebody talking about ethnicity, and the governor will be the one to always drum that kind of thing. So everybody was running away. If the government was not protecting him, who else will protect him? So what we did, we deliberately, again, with the help of several NGOs, laid out several things. I had to go back to embrace the 53 ethnic groups in Plateau State. I sat down with them, and for each ethnic group, what are your desires? What are your fears about this state? And
we'll continue with the conversation shortly. Viewers will now go on a short break and resume. Welcome back to 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television. Before we went on the break, you are telling me details of what you did to make Plateau relatively peaceful under your tenure. And you are just mentioning that NGOs gave you some ideas.
Exactly.
You also asked all the different groups, ethnic groups, 53 or so you said, to all say what are their concerns, which obviously you must have been addressing.
Yes, and we also set up several measures. Now, at the time I came, this conflicting tribes were the Biroms and the Fulanis, seriously at war with each other, the Biroms and the Fulanis. And you must understand that even when we went into the election, the Biroms did not vote for me. They did it because they said I'm too attached to the House of Fulani, so they will not vote for me. But immediately I was elected, the first appointment I gave was to the Birom. I gave them the secretary to the government.
So you showed some statesmanship.
Yes, they were shocked. And when I came back, to the Hausa community in Jos, I gave them a commissioner. And they were very comfortable with commissioner. It was think of joy. Not because the man was commissioner, but because they have recognized them in government. I think that was the first time they were having a commission.
But there are still some pockets of dissatisfaction.
Of course, in Nigeria, people, politicians, if you give him 100 today, you ask for 101. So those are some of these pockets of problems that we have. It's not that, but for Just Not, of course, Just Not used to be the boiling point. You dare not even conduct an election after that crisis. But you realize that last year, we did an election that nobody, even very free an election and peaceful election in Jos, and we elected the chairman of Just Not. Today they have a chairman in Just Not. So they were even surprised that they will even conduct an election.
But I did hear murmurs of complaint that even the election was kind of fixed, that it was made to achieve a certain result.
Not that made to achieve a certain result. If you go into an election and one political party, we've had that experience in Zamfara, when there was no much crisis, for procedures, they were lost. APC lost the whole election. And there was election by PDP. In our own case, we started an election, and because we were not the cause of that confusion in the other party, the other party were already in crisis between, I will say, General Hussaini and two soldiers. General Hussaini had a faction, and Jang also had his own faction.
Governor.
They couldn't agree. All of them went to court. They were battling the matter in court up to the time of election. And then the court gave judgment and said they didn't have executive. They will not participate. It wasn't that we stopped them from participating in the election, but we were ready to win that election. There's no way they can even win the APC in Just Not. There was no way they will win APC in Just Not. At the end of the day, the court said they are not going to participate in the election, and we put in all the necessary measures to ensure that the election was peaceful. The election was peaceful.
One key concern, since even before you became governor in Jos, is the issue of the bond market.
Yes.
And now at the tail end of your own tenure, that's getting into the 8th year, that market rebuilding hasn't started.
Yes.
There are only plans to start it. Why is it so?
Well, I just finished the final discussion for the rebuilding of that market. There were so many things that were done in Just Not. First, I spoke about the issue why when you asked me what happened And I think one of it was to the creation of what we have, peace agency, peace building agency. That's the only one that we have in the nation. And when I sent it and the report was sent to Mr. President visited Jos himself and commissioned that peace building agency. Today, Plateau State is the only one that has a peace building agency established by law, bringing people outside, because I said some of these conflicts, it's not something that you do give it a political attention and then you forget about it. Those people will remain there, the conflict will remain there, and because of that, we have a peace building agency that is always at the forefront and ahead when there are conflicts in some place.
And the issue of rebuilding the market didn't feature?
The rebuilding the market is part of the conflict. I see it as part of the conflict. Because at the time that this market was born, a lot of people were left on the street. Maybe those who had a lot of things there, they lost their things, and then there was no compensation. And of course, these people were aggrieved parties. So you go to Jos, you find people trading on the street. You find a lot of people left the place because the market was no longer there. This market was giving us paying salaries in Plateau State. We were paying salaries from the market proceeds, the revenue from this market. It was our major source of revenue, part of our major source of revenue.
So do you reckon it will be rebuilt while you are still?
By the grace of God, because I started this struggle almost 6 years today. I was going everywhere. I went to China, I went to the US, I went to Britain, everywhere. I met a lot of people. I met big people, big men. I met Dangote. I went to Lagos to see Dangote about this. I met people like Janatua Danjuma, who had a lot of shares that time in ShopRite. I said, let somebody come and help me build back this market. Until recently, when JH Bank agreed to come and build the market. So we just finished the agreement today. And by tomorrow, I've asked them to bring me a memo I sign. And then they will do the groundbreaking of the rebuilding of this market. And my ambition is to see this market before I leave office.
So it will be completed within your
by the grace of God. That is the agreement. So we're not bringing money, they're bringing their money to build the market, and then there is the sharing formula for distributions to all. So the moment people heard that the main market was going to be rebuilt, there was joy in Plateau State. So I can tell you that was part of what brought me as a governor too, because on the eve of our debate for final election, my opponent was on the other side, and it was a radio thing, live radio like we're doing. It was a live radio broadcast and television in the state. So the first question they asked was, they asked him, do you want to rebuild this market? Look at the market. Look at the state of the traders. What are you going to do about that? He said, no, we're not rebuilding that market. It's not important to us.
So you know that you are rebuilding it is like one of your legacy projects.
The moment they asked me, I said, no, that's my priority. The first thing, we must build that market. If we want revenue, if we want income that will come into the state to do infrastructure. I didn't know that. Immediately I said that. It was like Nigeria scoring football with Brazil, defeating Brazil at the World Cup. So they said there was just shout in the town. But I was inside the studio. I didn't know until I went out. Everybody, including even people who are marketers and all, they say you have won this election because you said you are going to do market. The other one said you will not construct market.
What else then will be your legacy? This is one, the market, if it happens.
Yes. First, I always preach about peace. I say if I leave Plateau State and we go back to where we're going, where I left, it will be very, very unfortunate. I've done a legacy that I will the next governor will be able to sustain that peace.
Is that why, because you've concentrated on peace building, that there is the criticism you've done fewer capital projects?
Yeah, no, not fewer capital projects. Today I have legacy projects. In these legacy projects, if I finish them, I don't think I don't want to say I'm competing with past governors. Can you
mention 2 or 3 because maybe the audience may want to know?
In the legacy projects that I have first, let me tell you, I've built the best high court complex in the whole of the north, and if not the second or the third in the whole of the federation.
Okay, that's
it's almost ready for commissioning now.
Right.
The high court, that is judiciary, for the judiciary. Now, aside from that, you know, priority must always be given to health and education. I have now 6 secondary schools of international standard. They call it Lalong Legacy Project. 6 secondary schools of international standard, 6 primary schools of international standard, and 6 hospitals of international standard.
You haven't mentioned anything on agriculture, and it's like the mainstay with the kind of climate.
No, I'm talking about infrastructure now. I'm talking about infrastructure.
Right.
Because if you are talking about infrastructure, those are infrastructures that a lot of them are even between 70 and 80%. Money was already there. We had a problem with our first contractor, which we terminated. Now we have done everything, and just today we approved to give the contract to another person, and he will start immediately. Agriculture, I had to bring consultants from the UK, and those consultants came and said, your priority in this state is agriculture, solid minerals, and tourism, because of the weather. Now, because of that, I was rushing up and down to Abuja. You won't believe, the president even designated our airport. They've approved our airport as international airport for agricultural produce.
So has anything been done concrete, like regarding helping agriculture beyond the airport, something you can feel and
in
touch?
Agriculture, you can go, Plateau is either number 1 or number 2. The time they did rice pyramid there, it was a problem for me when I went back, because that time I was not privileged to attend the pyramid. I traveled out. And so when I came back, my people came and said, Your Excellency, we are not happy. This pyramid should have been done in Jos. I said, why? They said about 40% of the rice that was displayed here were all rice that were brought from Plateau State. I said, so you can now see what you are doing. In potato, African Development Bank, we attracted African Development Bank that sponsored our state. Now our state is almost 80-something%. Everywhere, rural areas producing potato. And Mr. President was on my neck. He said, you must produce this potato. You must export potato before I leave, because every morning I must eat potato. I want to eat potato. So as it is today, Plateau, the potato is almost getting ready. They have the...
You will start exporting?
No, we'll start production first.
Right.
Even the new species of production, they say it is in Plateau that you get that species of potato. The one is that is like yam, very big like this, that like yam. So in terms of that, we had potato. The potato value chain has gone a long way, and today Nigerians and even African countries are anxiously waiting for when we'll conclude and have the opportunity to start producing agriculture.
This program will also anxiously wait for that day.
Yes.
When probably Trust Television will be there to report the
you will be welcome. And you know, we move also into solid minerals. The solid minerals that was abandoned in Plateau State, we're going back to it. We resuscitated the moribund company, and today we are far. We are almost getting preparing to attract a lot of revenue through solid minerals. When I came on board, the revenue for Plateau was not up to 500 million. But today we have almost hit 1.5 billion. And if not for COVID and some of the interventions that happened, our target was that today in Plateau will be around 4 to 5 billion revenue. That was what Lagos did. We now brought out a formula that Lagos is even coming to study from Plateau, as it is now. They brought their people to understudy what we are doing in revenue.
On that note, I'm afraid we've come to the end of the allotted time for this program.
Yes.
Your Excellency, we appreciate the time given to us.
Thank you very much, and also opportunity, and I congratulate you for introducing the television, because Daily Trust has always been my people.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Thank you.
Viewers, we've come to the end of this edition of 30 Minutes. Keep a date with us.